Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're focusing on just one single source.
And it's a monumental one.
It really is. We are unpacking the modern Korean poem, Sooknyeo, which translates to The Wooden Horse and the Lady.
And for you listening, this is going to be more than just a poetry reading. Our mission here is to really get under the hood of this thing.
Yeah, to figure out why this very specific, almost mismatched set of images works so well.
Exactly. You've got a tragic English novelist, a falling star over, of all places, California, and an abandoned toy horse.
And somehow it all comes together to be this profound statement on memory, decay, and, well, existence itself.
The triviality of it all, really.
I find myself just struggling with how dense it is. Every single image feels so deliberate. The tone isn't just sad, it's mournful right from the get-go.
It is, and I think that's because the poem doesn't start at the beginning of a feeling. It drops us right into the middle of this long, ongoing reflection.
Okay, so let's get into that opening hook, because it throws you right in the deep end.
It really does.
The speaker starts, Yosus. So, drinking a glass of alcohol or wine. And in that moment, they're talking about two things at the same time.
Right. The life of Virginia Woolf.
And the skirt of the lady who rode the wooden horse.
And that's the whole poem right there. That's the essential conflict.
How so?
Well, you have the intellectual sorrow on one side. Woolf's life is this huge, documented public tragedy. You know, a literary genius, the failure of art to save someone.
The big picture stuff.
Exactly. The death of high culture. And then, on the other hand, what do you have?
Just the skirt. Not the lady, not her face, not even the horse, really. Just the trailing edge of her skirt.
It's the remnant. It's the most fleeting, personal, sensory trace of a memory. It's almost trivial. But the poet puts that tiny private detail on the same level as the great intellectual tragedy of Virginia Woolf.
So the personal loss is just as existentially heavy as the public one.
They're one and the same in this space. And that's a huge claim to make right in the first two lines.
Okay, so let's move from that initial setup. Let's talk about the catalysts here. The cultural and geographical points the poem leans on.
And we have to start with Woolf. She's not just a name drop.
No, she's mentioned twice, right? At the beginning and then again near the end. She basically bookends the whole poem.
She does.
So why her? Why Virginia Woolf specifically? I mean, there are plenty of tragic literary figures out there.
That's a great question. I think it's because Woolf is the perfect symbol for the modernist crisis. Her work is all about the fragmentation of self, the chaotic flow of time.
The stream of consciousness.
Right. And her own life, her struggle with mental illness ending in suicide. It's sort of the ultimate story of the 20th century failing to hold itself together. When the poem later says, literature dies,
Woolf's story is Exhibit A.
it's the ultimate proof. She represents that search for meaning that just ends in self-destruction. Her presence frames this entire poem as a reflection on that kind of post-idealistic despair.
It's like using the tool of literature to mourn the failure of literature itself.
Precisely. And that mourning, that elegy, it needs a ritual to begin.
The glass of alcohol.
Yeah. It's not just a casual drink. The alcohol is what blurs the lines, right? It lets the harsh reality of Woolf's death sit next to the hazy, dreamlike memory of the lady's skirt.
It's like you needed to access that painful dual reality. It gives you permission to sink into that melancholy.
Absolutely. And once you're in that state, that's when the geography gets introduced and the whole scope of the sorrow just explodes.
Solvang.
Solvang, a star falls in Solvang.
Okay, for anyone listening who doesn't know, this is a really, really specific choice. Solvang is a Danish-themed tourist town in California.
It's bizarre.
So why not Seoul? Why not a more traditional Korean landscape? Why this manufactured non-Korean place?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? It universalizes the melancholy. If the star fell over a Korean palace or mountain, the poem's sorrow might feel tied to Korean history, to the war.
To a specific local grief.
Right. But Solvang is a borrowed fantasy land. It's a fake piece of Europe sitting in America. It's already detached from reality.
So the artificiality of the place itself is part of the point.
Exactly. It makes the despair feel rootless, global, almost aesthetic. The poet is saying this fall of idealism isn't just a Korean problem. It's happening everywhere, even in this weird constructed paradise. It elevates the sorrow to a purely existential level.
And the symbol of that decay, the star, is described in a really particular way. It's the symbolized star.
Yes. Yeah, the symbolized star breaks lightly upon my chest.
Lightly. That's the word that gets me.
Yeah.
If your hope is dying, shouldn't it be heavy? Shouldn't it crash down?
You'd think so, but lightly suggests that the hope, the ideal, it wasn't some massive solid thing that was violently destroyed.
It was fragile to begin with.
It was fragile all along. It was just a symbol, a piece of glass. And when it breaks on the narrator's chest, it's not a catastrophe. It's this quiet, effortless shattering. That's the moment of disillusionment.
The ideals were never as strong as we thought they were.
And that quiet breakage is what sets the stage for the next, more personal loss.
Which brings us to the central image of the poem, the wooden horse.
Yes. And this is where the poem formalizes this idea of departure. And the language is so important.
It's an act of departure. The wooden horse abandons its owner.
That is such a critical point. This isn't the narrator misplacing a toy. It's not nostalgia.
Right. That would just be a simple kind of sadness.
This is the symbol itself of childhood, of innocence, maybe of a specific lost love actively choosing to leave. It rejects the narrator.
Wow. So what does that say about the narrator? Does it imply they're no longer worthy of that ideal?
I think so. It's like the ideal itself recognizes that the world has changed, that the narrator has become this disillusioned adult, and it leaves. The alienation is total. You've been rejected by your own capacity for hope.
And the way it leaves is so hollow. The sound it makes.
It leaves ringing only its bell.
Just the bell sound, not the sound of hooves or anything with life in it.
None of that. A bell is a mechanical sound, isn't it? It's metallic. It's detached from the actual horse.
It's an echo.
It's the echo of a function that's no longer being served. The ideal is gone, but this sterile, haunting little noise persists. It's the ghost sound of loss.
And we know exactly where it's going. Sooknyeo departed into the autumn.
And in Korean literature, autumn, gayul, is just... It's so loaded. It's the season of decay, of endings, of a deep, almost universal sorrow.
So there's no question about its destination. This isn't a journey to something new.
Not at all. It's a journey into absolute termination. The loss is final. And that's when the poem brings us back to the human element, or I guess the lack of one.
Yeah, the person of love who rode the wooden horse is not visible.
And there it is, the real tragedy. The person of love is gone. We only saw the skirt. Now we see the vehicle of their departure, and the writer is invisible.
All that's left are these artifacts of absence.
The artifacts and the echoes. And that leaves the narrator in a world where all the foundations have just crumbled away.
Which catapults us right into the philosophical core of the poem.
Yeah, the poem really shifts gears here. It goes from this symbolic story to just blunt philosophical statements.
It's devastating. The claims are so total. Oh, when chain goes, namyu na. Literature dies and life dies.
I mean, that's just pulling the plug on everything. When he says literature dies, he's saying that our entire collective project of making meaning, of telling stories to make sense of the chaos, it's failed. It's bankrupt.
And if the record of human meaning dies, then life itself, or the meaning in life, dies with it.
It's total nihilism. But it's not just intellectual, it gets emotional too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That show. Even the truth of love abandons the shadow of affection.
Let's just sit with that for a second. It's one thing for affection to fade. It's another for love to die.
Right.
But here, the truth of love, the philosophical concept, the foundation, it's so gone that it abandons even the shadow of affection.
The shadow. What's left when even the shadow is gone?
Nothing. A shadow is the last, faintest trace. It's the outline of a memory. When the metaphysical idea of love rejects even that ghost, it means an absolute collapse of all emotional and spiritual connection. It's complete.
So in this barren world, what does time do? Usually time brings change or healing, but not here.
No. Here, time is just a cycle of decay. Time is something that goes and comes. But then he adds,
Once avoiding isolation, it withers away.
The great human project, avoiding isolation, trying to connect, that very effort just makes things wither faster.
So connection doesn't save you.
It just means you decay together. The isolation is inevitable. Time is just the document of that decline.
So given all this failure, literature, life, love, time, the poem says there's only one thing left to do.
Separation. Keithanes, now we must say goodbye.
And this isn't a choice, really. It's forced on them by the world falling apart.
Exactly. They hear the sound of solvang collapsing in the wind. That romantic, artificial stage for their sorrow is literally being blown away. The set is collapsing.
And the only honest response is to accept it, to say goodbye.
which is underlined by that amazing image of the lighthouse.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're gay. Even if the light is not visible in the lighthouse.
The lighthouse is the ultimate symbol of guidance, of reason, of hope in the dark. And the light is out, the world is adrift, and the poem just says, yep, that's how it is now.
So you're in a world with no hope, no guidance? What do? The poem offers this strange, paradoxical solution.
It does. It says we must live for the future of pessimism that we simply cherish.
You cherish pessimism.
We hold on to it. It's the only reliable thing left. If you expect the worst, you can't be disappointed. It's not a mood. It's an active intellectual strategy for survival.
So if pessimism is your future, what do you save from the past? It's not the love, not the lady.
No, it's the memory of the sorrow itself. We must remember the wretched, pathetic wooden horse sound.
The word there, chiriangan, it's not just sad, is it?
No, it's stronger. It's desolate, pathetic, lonely in a way that has no dignity. The sound of this loss isn't grand or tragic. It's just wretched.
And you have to hold on to that wretched sound.
You have to, because it's the only true relic left. It's the proof that the ideal was once there, and its pathetic echo is the new foundation for your cherished pessimism.
So as we get to the end of the poem, the narrator seems to be saying, okay, you have to accept this history of failure. He brings up Woolf again.
Right. We must listen to Virginia Woolf's sorrowful story. It's like you have to absorb this tragedy. It's not optional.
But then right after that, there's this flash of something totally different, a moment of real vitality.
The white horse.
Yeah, like a white horse that found youth after passing through the gap between two rocks. A white horse, Mokma, that's a symbol of success, of purity.
It's a classical heroic image. It's overcoming a challenge and finding redemption. It's the sudden injection of hope.
A test.
It's totally a test of the narrator's pessimism. Here's your chance. Here's the classic ideal of success.
But he refuses it. The next line is a command to drink the alcohol again, but this time while keeping our eyes open.
That is the most brilliantly cynical instruction. You have to see the possibility of hope. Keep your eyes open to the white horse, but you still have to drink the poison. You acknowledge redemption is possible, but you choose to stay in your reality of pessimism.
And it's that clear-eyed refusal of hope that leads to what feels like the poem's biggest reveal, the aha moment.
Oh, this line is the philosophical gut punch of the entire work.
Life is not lonely, it is merely commonplace, vulgar, like a magazine cover.
Stop there. Life is not lonely. After all this epic sorrow, this collapse of worlds, how can it not be lonely?
Right. That feels like a total contradiction.
Wait.
Isn't this whole poem about a profound sense of loneliness?
That's the twist. Loneliness implies that your suffering is special. It's deep. It's unique. It gives you a certain tragic dignity.
Okay.
But the poem says no. Life isn't profound enough for loneliness. It's just tongsak. It's cheap, mass-produced, superficial.
Like a magazine cover. Jab-G-P-O-G.
Exactly. Glossy, disposable, without any depth. So that immense sorrow you've been carrying, the death of literature, Woolf's suicide, the lost love.
It's insignificant.
It's insignificant, not because there's a bigger tragedy, but because the backdrop of existence is so utterly trivial and banal. Your pain doesn't even make you special. It's just noise on a cheap magazine cover.
Wow. So banality is a greater threat than loneliness.
It's devastating. It trivializes the very act of mourning.
So if that's true, if life is just this cheap, vulgar thing, then why do we feel this need to leave? Why the fear? The poem asks that, right?
Yeah. It does. It's the final question. What thing we should mourn is so frightening that we depart? If it's all just trivial, what are we running from?
And what's the answer?
I think the fear is the realization itself. The fear of seeing that your deepest pain is, in the grand scheme of things, profoundly meaningless. You run from having to admit your own triviality.
And the poem closes by sending the wooden horse up. Ayami Jean. The wooden horse is in the sky.
It becomes a constellation. It's elevated, permanent, but completely unreachable. The lost ideal is preserved forever, but it's separate from our reality.
And its sound, that bell, is connected to this strange economic metaphor.
The bell sound is crippled limping on an extinguished silver coin. And Yunjin, a silver coin that's Kyujin, extinguished. It's worthless money.
Damaged currency.
The sound of loss, the one thing you tried to preserve, is basically worthless. It has no currency in the real, banal world. It's just a damaged relic.
And the final image is just heartbreaking. The entire landscape of grief becomes internal.
The sound of the autumn wind sobs choked up inside my fallen Solvang. Solvang isn't in California anymore. It's inside the narrator, and it has collapsed. Suryojin Solbang.
He's internalized the ruin.
And the grief is so total that even the wind, the symbol of time passing, is choking on its own sobs inside him. It's not a release, it's suffocation.
So we've gone from this initial dual sorrow wolf on one side, a personal memory on the other, all the way through the death of everything. Literature, life, love.
To this bleak conclusion where the only thing you can trust is a kind of cherished pessimism.
But the real genius here, the thing that I think makes this poem so powerful, is how it uses banality as a weapon.
It really is. It builds up this monumental universal tragedy and then just pulls the rug out from under it by saying, actually, life is just cheap and trivial, like a magazine cover.
It totally reframes what it means to feel regret. It's not this grand, heroic search for meaning.
No, it's this quiet, almost pathetic attempt to hold on to the worthless echo of a vanished ideal, all while being surrounded by this overwhelming vulgar noise.
And that really leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on.
If our most profound sorrows, the death of love, the collapse of our ideals, are ultimately rendered banal by the world, what does that do to the sorrow itself?
Does the triviality of it all make your personal grief seem insignificant, small?
Or does the very act of choosing to cherish that grief, to remember that wretched, pathetic sound of the wooden horse, does that become the only meaningful, dignified act of resistance left?
What do you choose to hold on to in a world that is, in the end, merely commonplace?